Alright, what's going on, guys? Elden Ring Nightreign The Forsaken Hollows is out now, if you're hopping on a plane to New Zealand. But alongside the release of the DLC is the new patch for Elden Ring Nightreign, patch 1.03, and this is going to be shaking up the game big time. We have a ton of buffs, a ton of nerfs, lots of changes to night fares, things that people are not going to be happy about at all, some that people are going to be very happy about, and that is going to change the way how you play the game throughout this season of the Forsaken Hollows. But as always, when we get new patches like this, we're going to go through all of the patch notes, talk about these changes and what they mean. And don't worry, this video will be spoiler free, so as we get started, if you want to stay up to date on all things Elden Ring Nightreign, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and now let's get into it. Alright, so let's just get straight into these patch notes, starting at the very beginning. New features. Added support for the Forsaken Hollows. If you own the DLC The Forsaken Hollows, it will be displayed in the lower right corner of the title screen. And don't forget, make sure you actually download the Forsaken Hollows files. It's only like 900 megabytes. You just need that key to actually access the content. Added a display of the currently equipped relics in the character selection menu. You can check the effects of equipped relics by toggling the display. So that's nice, you'll actually be able to tell the difference between the ones you have equipped. Always good to have more information like that. Added a feature to set names when registering relic presets in the relic rights menu. So that's really good, you can actually name your builds now. Set names can be changed in the all presets section. The order of presets for each character can now be changed in the all presets section of the relic rights menu. In the relic rights menu, you can change the order of presets, but not the order of the character themselves in the all relics section. So Ishizaki actually mentioned this feature in an interview about the DLC, but it sounded like we were going to get it at a later date, so nice to see that that's actually already out now. Added deep large scenic flat stone to the collector's signboard shop, so you can straight up buy that one now. The map's layer display can now be toggled in the results menu. Cool. The relics equipped by each player can now be displayed in the results menu. Honestly, I thought that was already a feature, but I guess you can only see that in the game itself. And relics can only be displayed for sessions played in version 1.02 or later, so I guess you can actually check those in the book now too. Players with a personal objective that requires defeating a specific target while reviving a remembrance can now embark on expeditions with players whose personal objective does not require defeating a specific target. Personal objectives that do not require destroying the target will only appear for one player per expedition. Now that's actually a pretty big deal, because this was one of many issues affecting the matchmaking in Nightreign, because a lot of people were trying to queue on expeditions not knowing they had this objective, and then they were having an extremely hard time matchmaking. So glad to see that's changed now. The flask count will now be highlighted in the following situations. When the flask count is at the maximum capacity, when an enemy induced effect that influenced the flask is triggered, and this is actually a pretty substantial highlight. I'll put a picture up on screen, but it makes it much easier to see, and you'll actually know when it's being affected now. The vertical position of the compass's rune icon will now be displayed if the runes dropped upon death are significantly above or below the player character. That's a great UI change too. There have been a lot of times where I'm looking for my runes, and they're down off a cliff, but you really have no way to tell. You can now highlight specific events that occur on a map layer that is on a different level from the character's location on the map menu. Not gonna lie, I'm having a little hard time imagining what exactly that's talking about. Maybe you guys down in the comments can clear this one up. Adjusted the dormant power selection screen so that the HP gauge and other UI elements remain visible while the screen is displayed. Adjusted the weapon lineup in Limbeld's shops. Nice. Hopefully they made more rare weapons appear there. I swear you only ever get like the Royal Greatsword or Soluria's Tree, and then nothing else ever. So hopefully they add some colossal weapons for Raider, and now I guess Undertaker too. Added fire pots to the shop inventory inside the Spirit Shelter. And finally, the target lock-on enemies that are behind when the tombstone summoned by Raider's ultimate art appears no longer gets released. That's huge. As a Raider main, that has gotten me killed so many times. Glad they finally fixed this. So now we get into the juicy stuff, balance adjustments. In general, the trigger conditions of relic effects that trigger with low HP, equipment passive effects, and special effects have been broadened. But now check this out. These are all new passive effects that can be found on weapons, and if we're not getting Shadow of the Erdtree weapons, it's good to see we're at least getting new passives. So let's check this out. Improved melee attack power, improved dash attacks, and improved rolling attacks. Those are all fantastic. But here we have a ton of new buffs. Increase the effect of the passive effect improved attack attack power when two-handing, attack up when wielding two armaments, improved chain attack finishers, improved charge attacks, improved jump attacks, improved guard counters, improved skill attack power, and physical attack up. So this looks like an across-the-board melee damage buff to all relic effects, and you love to see it. I'm glad they're actually buffing things instead of nerfing what's most effective. So this should make all the melee classes across the board significantly better. And then finally, for balance adjustments, broaden the trigger conditions and decrease the effectiveness of the passive effect improved damage negation at low HP, and the talisman blue feathered branch. Okay, so I saw some discussion about this change specifically, and it seems like people had found a way to abuse the damage negation at low HP effect, and so this is a pretty big nerf to that if I'm reading it correctly, which makes it seem like it won't trigger as often or as easily, and you won't just be straight up invincible anymore. Now we have some relic effect changes: increase the effect of physical attack up, improved initial standard attack, improved critical hits, improved guard counters, improved damage for everything except bows, following on with 3+ weapons, and then broaden the trigger conditions and decrease the effectiveness of improved damage negation at low HP. So kind of the same thing we just talked about. I don't know if this is even additional and stacking with the other changes, but again, buff across the board to melee. And finally, reduce the FP consumption and increase the power of the Wrath of Gold incantation. Nice. Alright, now get ready, we have a very long list of bug fixes. Fixed a bug in the Augur invasion event where the character would not be properly teleported to the battle area against Augur if the player was performing a critical hit at the time of the teleportation trigger. I have had this one happen to me and we got screwed over because of it. Mitigated an issue where Sites of Grace or churches would not activate and leveling up and additional charges to flask could not be performed under some conditions. Great fix. Fixed a bug where hammer weapons with the Prayerful Strike skill would not appear. That's especially good now with Undertaker. Fixed a bug where effects that heal or enhance allies did not apply to characters dodging or performing their ultimate art. Good change there too. I've dealt with that bug a lot. I like to run the relics that help my teammates. And now with Scholar, that really needs to be fixed. Fixed a bug where Raider's Retaliate skill would be cancelled and the character could flinch when receiving some enemy attacks that deal no damage while the skill was active. Always like to see Raider buffs. Fixed a bug where Affinity Residues spawned by Recluse's elemental defensive passive ability would not appear when hit by some enemy attacks. Fixed a bug where stagger damage was not applied when parrying some enemy attacks with Executor. Fixed a bug where the range of rolls to dodge some enemy's darkness imbued attacks was different than intended. Fixed a bug in Depths relics where the effect Green Spill Crystal tier in possession at start of Expedition did not appear. Fixed a bug in the Expedition menu where the gauge indicating the deep of night rating was not displayed when performing reduced depth, resulting in the subsequent gauge not reflecting the rate correctly. Fixed a bug in the Relic Rights menu where the icon indicating the placement in other vessels was not displayed correctly. Fixed a bug in the Dormant Power selection screen where the UI indicating rarity was not displayed on equipment and item icons. Fixed an issue where sorting by FP consumption in the Sparring Equipment menu and Visual Codex menu of the Sparring Grounds when displaying the list of sorceries and incantations did not work correctly. Fixed a bug in the Results menu and Victor's Record menu when the attributes added by relics to each character's weapons during an expedition were not correctly reflected. Fixed a bug in the Results menu where the special effects held by other players were not recorded beyond a certain number. Fixed an issue where if a session was disbanded immediately after a player left, the message at the title screen confirming the return of that session would keep appearing even after the selecting OK. Fixed some graphical rendering issues. Fixed an issue where some sound effects did not play correctly. Corrected some text, and made several other performance improvements and bug fixes. Now, in addition to that, I also saw that Iron Eye got a bit of a nerf where you can't immediately place a second mark on an enemy as soon as the first mark breaks, which has a lot of people mad. But anyways though guys, that is everything new in the update. As far as patch notes and balance fixes go, melee characters are gonna have a field day with this, and this should help out the new Nightfarers a lot as well. But y'all let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you in the next one.